Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's a very warm day here in May. It's supposed to get up to close to 90. We haven't had rain in a while, so it's really, really crispy. And it feels like you're walking on straw everywhere. But today, I'm going to work on my old trusty steed that I parked in the fall. I should have done body work on it last year, but it was just way too busy. And yeah, so I went to start it, and of course the solenoid's stuck. Give it a good wrap with a hammer. Should come undone. I'll show you that section there. That whole bottom piece there I gotta do something with. And then over on this side, gotta do some weed whacking. That's like that, and then you can't open up the back door because the back body mounts are shot and everything's resting right on the bumper. So it's kind of a pain to open up the rear door. So I gotta gut the interior on the back end, rebuild my back body support, and then go from there. So I did already try and get it started. Then the solenoid clicked and stuck, which was common on this one. I have to get a new solenoid on it, but only do it like once in maybe 100 tries. So it wasn't that hard to just come out and wail on it. But this one here it's a pretty cherry vehicle. Other than the battery's always corroding, I gotta put some solvent on that. The main reason I parked it was because of this coolant line here, which I just lopped the end off, but what I really should do is just get a new one. But I put a new water pump on it last year, did new belts because the belts were screaming. And then this one here I got, I think in 17. So I've had this now 5 years. I got it with 97,000 original miles on it. I have, I think, 130 on it now. I don't know. I haven't seen the odometer in a while. I think I have 130,000 on it. It's got the 2.9. When I got it, it would crank over half a crank and then it'd stop like it was hydrolocking. And then I know people always say they have never seen a Ford injector stuck open. That was what was happening with this one. It was stuck open. There was probably close to a gallon of fuel in the oil. And whenever because I had sat down and started thinking about it and thought about if it was hydrolocking, then it could either be one of two things. Either there's too much fuel in there, there's a hole in the piston and it's letting oil up in, which is kind of rare. Or also rare with the fuel injector, and we'd taken some of the spark plugs out, and as soon as you turn the key on and let the fuel pump run, then it just had a huge geyser flush out. I think it was this side, so I remember it going over the driver's side as soon as we turned the key on. But there was our problem. So then I took it off. I did intake gaskets. I had the whole top end of the engine off. I put new injectors in it, and it drove fine ever since. Hey, this thing's been a real good trusty steed for me. It's great in the snow, and these things are tiny. I could put my hand from one side of the door to the other, but it does need some things here and there. The clear coating's starting to come off now, which is not uncommon with these years. Needs a good paint job. We'll make her back to new again. We'll at least put her back on the road, and I'll do a paint job on it. So let's get this thing started. I can hear, yeah, that battery's dead, but I got the solenoid unstuck. When the solenoid sticks, it'll crank for half a turn, and then everything will go dead. Like, you won't even have radio come on, you won't even have the buzzer come on, or the interior lights, or anything. So, what do I have on this? Oh, I got 144,000 miles on this. We ran this back and forth to school, so this got a lot of highway mileage. I did do a clutch on it. I don't think I really did much else. I did some brakes. It needs a park brake cable. But let's go get this thing jumped. It's a good thing I got a pile of old Fords. Grab my other trusty steed, that's a mess. It's packed full of all sorts of tools. You don't see this. Alright. Wow, is that hot? This is my trusty Ranger. The 4.0 in it. And it was manual swapped. I bought this one for 500 bucks. Just needed brake lines and a little bit of TLC, and it was back on the road. Then it needed tires. Yeah, just like what that says, it's gonna be toasty. This one here, I don't know if you noticed, versus the speedometer's in the way, that is 223,000 miles on it. She's got a little bit of a lifter tick. It's probably a little low on oil. This thing slobbers oil all over the place because the valve cover gaskets are bad. I gotta do that, but then it's got a rough idle till it warms up. But it smooths out. It just sounds like you're cammed. Alright, I like to do this because then at least you're not arcing away. I can hear her plugging a bit. Yeah, she is all sorts of loaded with oil. I'll sit on it for a minute. Alright, it was about one song. Let's see what this did. About 3-4 minutes. Wow. Yep, she's still dead. Alright, I'll keep on it. Alright, well, I just wiggled it around and I found out I had a loose battery, so let's see if maybe it'll go. Ouch. Dang it. Oh, it unstuck itself. There it goes. Now this thing's been sitting. Got a little bit of a lifter tap because they're a little dry. This thing has been sitting. I started it up in probably March. Yeah, probably about March. And that thing just fired right up on half a crank. This thing is just a sweetheart. Alright, let's get that unhooked. That way my Ranger don't burn down here in the yard. Got my sun shield up. That's what's so great about tailgates. You can just raise the tailgate. You can see this edge here is pretty worn. That there's worn from rubbing on the bumper. The bumper's rusting a little now. I'll have to get that shined up and put some oil on it. That's all getting pretty thin. This corner here's flapping in the breeze. So that'll get some needed repairs done to it. And then I'll fix the rear of this floor here that is pretty well shot. There's the one video going up for today. It's a little sluggish, but it'll go. Once I get done dropping this tank, I'll probably take the rest of this stuff here and put it up in one video. And then anything else I do for the rest of today will go on to part 2, and there's going to be a bunch of parts on this because it's not a lot more than I thought, but it's about what I imagined. So it's probably going to be it's going to be a lot of fabricating. I don't know how many hours, but it's going to be a lot of fabricating. So let's get to dropping this tank. Alright, well, taking the skid plate off on these Bronco 2s. I think the Ranger has one. I have to actually go over and check, but on these Bronco 2s they got skid plates on everything because they were actually meant to go off-road. So, skid plate I found, the bolt has a nut on the back side, not a capture nut like normal. So I had to take the plastic little shield off that's laying over there, and of course everything was rotted off, so I had to use the die grinder to cut a little slot in it. That way I could spin it out with a flathead, because everything stripped out of it. So I got a breaker bar on that, go underneath, loosen up that bolt. There. Alright, now I'm underneath. I got the rear section loose. At least I think it's loose, it moves around. Right there are the 2 center bolts for it. My tank's actually not too bad. I might actually coat the outside of it so it doesn't rust away anymore. Probably do the same thing with this little skid plate. If you look up, there's a skid plate that goes underneath the transfer case. It's not a, well, I guess it could be a cross member too. That keeps the transfer case from skidding on anything. I do need some rear brake lines. I got some of them laying around. So I'll get this done. Alright, well, that was easier said than done. But I got the panel laying down there. Now I don't have anything nearby me that'll probably fit. I gotta get these tank straps off. It'd be really nice if I had a shop. Oh, it's still got it. Okay. I still got the nut in it. Alright, now I got that. I got this. There's one strap. Don't want to drop it. Ouch, that's hot. I was going to try and get the shield out of the way, but it's kind of in the way at the moment because the bumper's in the way. And this guy here, let's see, this was, oh, that's just a plate, okay. Loosen this guy up. I don't have anything disconnected yet, so I don't want to drop it yet. get it down so I have some room to disconnect the hoses. This is a really awkward position. Alright, there's that. Alright, that can stay like that. Why doesn't that move? Oh, there it goes. Okay. It's just glued in there. Alright, let's undo everything else. Alright, well, I got my electrical connector done. I got the other fuel line off. I found a great little puller tool here. Some long vice grip, some long needle nose. I put a right angled screwdriver into it and just pried right up. That worked beautifully. Now I gotta drop the rest of the tank.